Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Kylie and we are out in my little greenhouse and we are about to start some seeds. Now I had this on my calendar to start January 1st. It's now February 1st and well, better late than never. I'm starting pepper seeds and I actually have a lot more seeds to start this week because this is the week I typically like to start my onions. Now we live in a colder climate and we've been experiencing some very mild temperatures. It has been, well, it's super warm right now. Let's see what the temperature is. 45, which is the coldest day that we've had this week. We have been up in the 60s. 63 was the high one day. That was really warm and beautiful, and I've been enjoying being outside. We still have snow. We haven't gotten snow since the last video. Maybe like a dusting here and there, but nothing like, this is super wet. I might add some dry soil. This is pretty wet. But nothing crazy. So our temperatures in the next 10 days look like they're all going to be in the 40s, maybe upper 30s, possibly snow, but it'll probably be rain. We've been getting hammered with rain. Just rain after rain, which is good, but I know with these warmer temperatures, our snowpack up on the mountain is suffering, which regardless if we get rain or snow, it's good for where we live in Central Oregon. But snow is beneficial for our tourism economy because we live in an area that has a lot of ski resorts and they need snow. I'm filling these, I believe they're 2-inch pots. They're from Bootstrap Farmer. And I'm just filling these 2-inch pots, and I am keeping myself to only starting this tray. I don't even know how many's in here. 32 pepper plants. I am keeping myself to 1 tray of peppers. This tray keeps it separated for these pots, but then has holes in it, so I'll put a bottom watering tray underneath. And I might be starting peppers earlier than a lot of you here in Central Oregon, and that's okay. Try your own thing. Find what works best for your family and your garden and go with that. And this year, last year I started my peppers, I don't know when it was, but it was, I didn't put them on heat pad. I start them and I take them, I don't leave them in my greenhouse. It's way too cold for that. They go inside. I have shelves, I have lights, and I put them in my laundry room. I start my peppers, they need light to germinate. Some plants, some seeds don't need light, peppers do. And this, I started them a little too late last year, and so this year I'm bumping it up. Obviously I thought I was going to bump it up to the 1st of January, but I am going to be doing heat mats, which I didn't do last year. My laundry room stays pretty cold. Peppers like it pretty warm to germinate. They will take forever to germinate. Your tomatoes and peppers, tomatoes germinate super fast. Peppers take a little longer. They really like the heat. So I'm going to put, I don't have any domes. So a lot of times you'll see people put humidity domes over top. I don't have any of those. I've had them in the past and they were just cheap and flimsy and they end up breaking after a season. So I end up using just saran wrap. Now you don't have to have any of these. You don't have to have seed starting anything. You don't need, people had gardens and started seeds early, long before there were things. They started them in all sorts of containers. I've seen, what I think is kind of cool is the muffin trays, or I've seen people do it in egg cartons that have the clear lids. It gives that oh, this one's cracked. Gives you your own humidity dome, and it's pretty cheap if you have like, I don't know, a baked good that you buy from the store or you get it from a friend. You can, or a strawberry or a blueberry, or you know, those type of little fruit containers. You can start in all sorts of things. You don't have to have seed starting equipment to do it. And also you don't have to have seed starting mix. It's easy because it's all ready to go, and I bought it on clearance last year and just have, I don't know, I have like a bunch of boxes or a bunch of bags underneath me. But I will tell you, I bought soil last year from Costco and started seeds, and in my laundry room I had like this crazy infestation of giant flies. I've never seen a fly that big, and it had to have come out of that soil because it was in no other room in my house, and they were starting to come out of there and it was grossing me out. It was so bad. I went against all of my knowledge, and I ended up bombing the bathroom with one of those chemical bombs and just sealed it off from the rest of the house and bombed it, because after got all my plants out and bombed it, it was so bad. It was disgusting and horrible, and I tried other natural methods to get rid of them. It just wasn't working. So this soil has been out in my greenhouse, and this is not the same soil. This has been out in my greenhouse all year, basically all winter. And that, with the freezing temperatures, it helps kill whatever's in here. There is no nutrients in seed starting mix. If you get normal seed starting mix like this is, like the kind of cheaper, this is just from Wilco, it's the pink bag. This is not, again, this is not the soil that had those gross flies in it. And I left it, just, it'd be, if you can get your mix, I've seen some people, they'll throw it in the oven. I don't know about that. To kill all the things, but freezing should do the same thing. You should be able to leave it outside for, or in your car 3 days or whatever. People do this with bulk flour. They'll leave it, some people who are really into bulk buying will have a freezer that they put their flour in for 3 or 4 days or a week to kill off any of the bugs that can be in flour and can make flour go bad. You could do the same thing with seed starting mix, just to make yourself not have to deal with any pests. But because it naturally did it, just being out here all winter in super cold temperatures, and this was frozen solid, I'm feeling pretty confident that it won't have any weird things. That was terrible, and that is one negative part about doing seed starting in your houses. You don't know, and I find since 2020 happened, and there's been such an uptick of people doing gardening, they're rushing a lot of the processes, and a lot of the quality of things, especially with bagged soil, has gone down. And even seeds, like the quality of seeds people are selling have gone down too, because just they're rushing. Onions definitely will need to be started very soon and get them in my house as well. They take a while, and I want them to be bodacious before they go out into the garden. It is so good to take, we live in a short season here, and no matter where you are, it is so good to take the time to just rest in the winter. It is so important. Gardening is a lot of work, and it takes up a lot of mental space, I find, at least through the gardening season. And this winter has been really restful with the snow and different things that have come. It's super restful for the gardener and to get as much rest in the winter, and it's been good. So maybe it's good I don't start seeds till February. We'll see how this goes, and I'll make up my mind. If it's like, I should have started these a month ago when I had it on my calendar, well, then I should have started it a month ago, but life happens. Got my seeds here. Okay. I have a ton of brands, and a lot of these Fairy Morris ones. I had a Restore Habitat for Humanity that a few years ago had seeds for 25 cents, and I loaded up a bunch. Now some of the germination could be a little, and we'll just overseed for that, because seeds don't go bad if they're kept in dry, cool areas and dark, and I do that. But with that, they can lose their germination rate over time. So say you had 2 years ago, I had like a 99% germination rate with the seed packet, but now it's been a few years. I might only have 80 or 75 or something. It can go down a little bit, especially with onions. Onions are prone, you really want fresh onion seeds, but I have a lot of onion seeds, so I tend to just keep using those. A garden marker. Okay, I've used Sharpie. It does fade. These garden markers do not. I thought I had tags down here, and I don't. And then I have other tags, but I've reused several times, so I'm just going to have to make do with these, because this one has like writing on both sides. That's all right. I can rewrite it, but we'll just make it work. What I have here, I have Tabasco peppers, jalapeno. These are early jalapenos, pepperoncinis, banana peppers, cayennes, California bells, and I have 2 packs of mini yellow and red peppers that are sweet, and these Aja crystal seeds, and they just said they're really hot. They have an excellent spicy citrus flavor when they're immature and great for salsa. Super hot, so I like hot peppers. We grew some last year. I don't think I ever shared this. They were called, I had not good success with my own seeds, and they were called what were they called? Quick fire. Yeah, because they were supposed to be fast. They were not fast. They were slower than any of the other peppers I grew, and I got starts from the store from them. And they were these little guys. I think I have a bunch still dried, but they were like this big, and they were hot. Like, hot. So these are the mini yellows, and I'm going to plant just 2. I'm going to be mindful of using seeds. And so I'm going to have 4 plants. It does make me nervous. Eee. Okay. I am such an overseeder because I want to have what I want it to work. And this is the mini reds. They're going to go in the same row. My son, I buy mini bell peppers all the time at the grocery store. My oldest just loves them. I'll do 3 in this one just for safekeeping, just in case, you know. So these are for my kids. I don't care for sweet peppers at all. I much prefer a jalapeno. I love a jalapeno or a peppercini. Yeah, those are my favorite. Oh, and Tabasco. I'd like to make my own Tabasco sauce. And see how that goes. They're all bent and melted from the sun out here. That's okay. So I'm debating here. I do have 8 thingamajigs. And there's got to be some I just don't want that many of because I want lots of jalapenos. Definitely gonna do a couple rows of jalapenos. This seed pack is really old, so I'm gonna add a few, like 3 seeds to a square, and I'll thin out whoever needs to get out. I also did those bigger squares because I want to make sure they have plenty of root space and not have to up-pot them too much. And I'm going to top these guys in a couple months. This is why I have a hard time yakking Tabascos. These are coated. They're coated with the red, which makes it easy to see. I have such, especially with this brand, the So Easy, they haven't sewed very easy. They keep going in the wrong cubby. I'm only going to do a row of these, but I'm going to thickly sew them because they don't sew very easy and I haven't had great germination. And if I get 4 plants out of a bazillion I'm sewing, I'll be happy. You can't even see what I'm doing. Can you see these red guys? Maybe. Anyway, there's a lot in there because there is. They're easy to tell though. Onion seeds are black and they're harder to tell. Oh. Tabasco. Okay, well, I got everybody in their little things. Jalapenos get the most because they're my favorite and they're the most useful. I like them in my salsa. So now I'm just gonna get a little bit of dirt. It's so wet. When you do this, you don't need so wet of some potting soil. And just lightly cover these seeds. Make sure everybody's nice and covered. You don't want to bury them too deep. They're not very big seeds. You just don't want to be able to see them. And I have some vermiculite, and you don't have to use vermiculite at all. I got it for when we were flower farming back in the day. Some seeds just need to be lightly covered. I'm going to use it just for water. Maybe help out, dry out some of this soil. And I have it and it needs to be used, so I might as well just use it on top. I don't like using things that is just more money seed starting. I think it's ridiculous that a lot of people spend so much money seed starting. I think that people can overcomplicate and over commercialize gardening. There's affordable ways to do it. People did it for years and years and years, and you just don't need that much money. We're just gonna lightly cover these guys. Get them under. I got my shelves out, ready to go, but I don't have them in my house. I gotta set it all up today. Motivation when the seeds are ready. These guys are like, we're freezing! Peppers don't like the cold. This is several years old. I don't even know where I got it at this point. Omni certified. This will help moisture retention and also soak up a lot of this moisture. At this phase, moisture is your friend because these seeds need lots of moisture to grow. Ah! Voila. Okay. So now they are in a bottom tray, which has no holes. Perfect for indoors. And to water these guys, I just take a cup out when it's time. And I'll have like a little watering can or a little jar I water it with, and it just goes down in there until it fills it up, then it's good to go. So that you don't have to take the whole tray out, just remove a cup and do it. Just so it's pretty simple. And that's starting peppers. That's seed starting, guys. It's so easy. Doesn't need to be complicated, doesn't need to be expensive, doesn't need to be anything. Find some seeds you like, save your own seeds from a store-bought pepper or what have you, and just shoving these down because I don't want to lose them. Now that seed starting is done, I wanted to share with you guys some cool things, some updates, some fun things. I'm actually gonna get these seeds in my tray out of the way. Well, I feel accomplished now that I have my pepper started because it was like one of those things that was just like eating at me. That's nice. That's hopefully they're gonna do great things. Okay, I have two exciting things. They're both kind of personal, but the first one is after very many years, we finally pulled the plug on a tractor. And it still doesn't really feel real. It's here. It's at my house. We went in on it with my parents because it's one of those things that I was like wanting a tractor so bad. And last year, Trey and I were like, okay, I think we're ready. I'd been talking my husband into it for some time. And I was like, I think we're ready for a tractor. Let's go. And I think he was just humoring me because he was like, he knew that they were very expensive and I wanted a brand new John Deere. That's what I had my heart set on. And I go to the John Deere dealership and I'm like test driving tractors, doing it all. And when it came down to the purchase price, and I left having the most anxiety I've ever had. I had buyer's remorse without even buying a tractor. It was so stressful. And yeah, I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I was freaking out. I was like, I can't do it. I decided we wanted to go about it a little differently than we were originally planning. And I would still look at tractors here and there, just used ones, because a lot of people bought them in 2020 and realized they don't need them, or maybe they needed to get rid of some financial burden. So I was looking at some used ones people may be getting rid of. And it was just kind of in the back of my mind. I thought maybe next year we would. It was just easier to rent a tractor for a week. Last year my uncle came and used his tractor and did all the compost for us. For fun. He had retired and recently moved up here and just wanted to do it for me. And so he did that, and that was how we got all our beds done. We can do it hand. I've done it by hand for years and years and years. It's just easy and quick, and we can get a lot of other things done as well. We can gather up our own compost from the cow pins and the pig pins and chicken pins, and we can do all of that with the tractor as well. And it just is easy. We got hit with this big snowstorm. And I felt, and Trey felt, we were like, man, we feel we need a plow. We need a plow. We have to get one before next year. And we're like, if we get hit again, it's okay. We have our handyman, and we have neighbors that have tractors, and we have our handyman we pay, and he comes and plows us. We're okay. But I did feel, I'm like, we have a decently long driveway. We should probably have something that plows us out. I just got a winter storm watch Sunday. Well, this is gonna come in handy, this tractor. Okay. It just ended up being one of those things where my parents really were thinking about it, and then one day, just like Saturday, I get a text from my dad, red alert, here's this tractor. And I look at it and it's a Branson, which I have been looking at a Branson because they used to have a dealer here outside of Bend. It was in Central Oregon, and we went and looked at it on Saturday. I didn't think it was gonna be big enough, but it turns out it was plenty big enough. It's a great little tractor. I've just been putzing it around, and my parents live fairly close, so we'll just drive it back and forth or put it on the trailer and haul it back and forth regardless. But it felt like it was time to get a little something to help us out with some snow removal. And it felt like it was time to have something along with the farm. So I had planned our high tunnel around a tractor that I didn't even have. This year, it just wasn't even on my radar. And then my dad found this one. We all four went and looked at it, my parents and Trey and I, and we really liked it. And my dad went and picked it up on Tuesday and brought it home. It is now Thursday. So we've had it for 2 days. I've just putzed around and moved some snow that didn't need to be moved around just to test it out and all these different things. And so that is a massive price report that we have a tractor, and yeah, for my parents as well. So this is a bigger piece of news that I've kind of been talking to you guys about for some time, and it's coming to fruition. I had a meeting officially about it. We have been talking about doing a community garden. We were market growers. We have a 14,000 square foot garden, which we're in the middle of with our greenhouse. It is way too big for me with our big greenhouse and our smaller garden. That is definitely more those two are my priority for growing, and I have half this garden. So how it's gonna work, half this garden, not even close, maybe like a third of this garden is going to be my personal use garden, because I still need room to grow my bulk, like carrots and things that don't go in the high tunnel that are bulk, and things that are way too, my little garden's just not big enough, which is why we have this big garden. And then we started market growing, and anyway, so I'm keeping a good portion of it to keep all over here where my potatoes were last year. I'm keeping that in the front smaller half. So when you come in the big gate, the smaller rows where I grew most of our food last year, I'm definitely just keeping that for my family, for onions and carrots and peas and cabbages and broccoli, and things I want to bulk grow. And then the rest of it, the big rows, which are like 65 to 75 feet long, 4 rows over here that haven't been quite cultivated, and then there's 3 rows behind this little greenhouse that are 25 feet long, and they're all 5 feet wide, so it's quite a bit of garden space. And I had talked to you guys about having a community garden here, and I originally had thought it would be like Joe Schmo would come out and have a row, and he'd get to grow whatever he wanted, come out when he wanted, and it wasn't sitting right with me. I didn't feel comfortable. When we were market growers, we would have people that would come to our farm and think that we would be open whenever, and they'd come on a Sunday morning, and they would expect me to have lettuce for them on a Sunday morning when I'm just spending it with my family. Since then, we've taken steps like getting a driveway gate and a fence up that people can't just come on in, and we haven't been market growing. But I want to have that barrier of people knowing that there's an appropriate time to come and just not showing up whenever. This is my home. My children are raised here. We live here. Like, it is not a place where I want people coming that I am unfamiliar with to come into whenever they please. So I needed some firm, things. And I had thought, well, the church we're going to doesn't have a community garden. And I think it'd be very beneficial to the community because inflation is crazy. Grocery prices are insane. People are struggling. There's been lots of job losses and things. And not only that, just like the quality of food you can get with growing your own food. And in La Pine, where we live in Central Oregon, we get frost all year round. So it's a big misconception that we can't either grow food or don't bother grow food. I've been told it too many times. And a lot of people have that in their brain that it's really hard. And I want people to learn how to grow food. I want them to be able to feed themselves, feed the other people. And I don't know, I have this vision for it. And I've talked a little bit about it, but I saw this place becoming a community garden. I just didn't know how it would go or how to go about it. So I ended up, how it went about it was kind of crazy and totally a God thing. Was my sister and I were on our way up to Coeur d'Alene for the Modern Homesteaders event, and we got a phone call from our youth pastor, Isaac, and Bethany did, my sister, and he wanted something else, and she was like, oh, we're on the way up, we're gonna be gone for the weekend. He's like, oh, so sorry. And she's like, and we ended up telling him where we were going, and he was like, that's so cool. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna go watch Joel Salatin. He's gonna teach us how to butcher chickens. And he's like, I love Joel Salatin. Anyway, long story short, we ended up raising chickens with my parents, my sister's family, my family, and Isaac's family, and we all raised the chickens together. And in that first phone call on the way up to Coeur d'Alene, I had talked to him about this community garden idea, and it was something that people in the church had talked about wanting to kind of do. They just didn't know how they go about it, and they also wanted to do kind of some different kind of groups, not just regular small groups where you gather. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if that is how you learn, I am more of a hands-on learner. I learn more about God. I've learned more about the Lord in a garden than behind a desk or in a living room or in a church pew. Let's God is so wild and he created us in a garden. So why not go back to the garden and really just teach people how to grow food and how to reconnect in their creator in the way we were originally intended to. And that's my heart. I want to feed the people. Technical difficulties. Now we're back. So that's how it came about. And we're going to be starting this group March 16th at 10 a.m. here on our farm. It's going to be in the church bulletin. If you are a local and don't attend our church, I don't care if you're a Christian, non-Christian, I don't care who you are. You can come and you can be a part of this community garden. And I see it more of as a space instead of having Joe Schmo out here with his garden bed. It's kind of a all for one and one for all type mentality where the community is a group of people who meets weekly or bi-weekly, and we work together for the greater purpose of the garden. And essentially we're going to grow how I know how to grow, because I know how to grow this way, and it's market growing. So big fat row of carrots, a big row of cabbages. We're going to be, maybe we have a bed where like radishes or specialty or different kinds of greens that maybe aren't so popular for people, like arugula or mustard, or I don't know, maybe you don't like maybe we don't want to grow a ton of turnips or rutabagas or something, and we could break up a row like that. But other than that, I want to do bulk growing, mass growing, and be able to flip beds fast, get the vegetables. So I'm picking varieties that are quick maturing, which I have a lot of those already. So I'm just going to be giving my own seeds because I have a lot and we were market growers. So things that are quick, fast varieties of onions, like a Walla Walla or even just green onions. We're just picking those type of things, and we're going to be doing that. We also have a farm stand. I think a lot of you have found that video because of that video, and it's a little farm stand. So that is going to be a cool thing about this group, is we get together, we get to pray, and we get to really just figure out how we want to get this food out to the community. And I think this is all kind of speculation, because we are the first group of the kind at the church like this. We don't know how it's going to work necessarily. I mean, I know what we're going to do. We're going to be building this garden, and I know how to do that. As far as how it's all going to work when it comes together, I'm not sure. I do know our first thing, we got to start seeds. We got to get seeds going in March. It will give us about 6 weeks to get cold crops going. I will be starting some other seeds, some Walla Wallas for the group earlier, because they just need more time than 6 weeks to get out in the garden. I'll be starting them when I start my onions. Yeah, people are going to learn. We're going to have some pancakes. We're going to feed the people before we feed the people. My dad is going to be he's going to be the pancake man. We're going to have a bunch of people that know how to garden and some that have know nothing about. I don't know how many people are going to come. We're not capping it. If it's 50 people, we're feeding 50 people. We're going to have some sort of work for 50 people to do. I don't care if you're able-bodied or disabled. I don't care. I feel like there's going to be purpose for everybody who's willing to come out and be a part of it. I would love to see people that can, or people who don't have, I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people, Lord willing. I've just been praying that the people come, like they will come and support this. It is a huge garden. Now, is there enough work for 50 people? No. But we can always find jobs for everybody. We can always figure it out. This garden is going to be super clean and weed free if there's 50 people coming out. But I'm assuming not everybody's going to be able to make it out every week, and that's fine. It's going to be a long group. It's going to be different than any other group in the church, because normally our church groups start in the fall and they carry through the school year. They go with the school. They go with the school schedule. This group is going kind of counter, not at all going with the school year. We start in March and we won't be done till November. So the end of October probably. Depending on how long we get. Like if we have a warm year like we did this year, we could be going into November and possibly December. So you just never know. It's going to be one of those interesting things where we're just going to have to feel it out and see how it goes. And while I wanted to grow it like a garden like a market garden, is because because we're such a long, it's probably no longer than a normal group. It's just at the opposite time of year. But a lot of people are going to be traveling for summer. A lot of people don't have time to come out to the garden every week. You never know who will be able to make it out. So if we all are working on the same thing, and that way not one bed will get neglected more than another. And all of this food goes to one purpose. If you're working in the garden, obviously you can take the food. I I just envision it with all sorts of kinds of people. If you can't work in the garden and you physically are not able-bodied to do it, come and pray, come and worship in the garden. I just want it to be like this kind of like this community thing. You could be able to have space for a garden, or maybe you're just not able to put in the work, or you can't afford to put in the garden. You can come out here and be a part of this. You can learn how to do it affordably, or you can just do it here. I've talked to you guys about this, and a lot of you have joined in with me in praying about this, and just keep your prayers coming, because I think it's going to be a really beautiful thing. And this way, it's a group where people come out once a week, maybe every other week. We have a certain time, and that's the time the group is. It is not a free-for-all, come whenever you want. It is, we are here, we are home, we are at this time. Otherwise, it is closed doors. Trust has to be built. So those things have to be built. So we had a meeting about it, and we got it all worked out and ready to go. We're ready. We got a lot to when we got after the meeting, I was like, holy crap, it's going to be in March. What if there's a snowstorm? What if all these things happened? How am I going to get people down? This is where I start my seeds, in this small greenhouse. What if there is 50 people? What if there's 20 people? They're not going to fit in this greenhouse. Maybe 10. But I remembered I have a giant high tunnel, a big fat greenhouse. I saw Joel Salatin do this. He had a big high tunnel, and he hosts events in there. And this is going to be perfect. We're just going to put out a bunch of tables, get all our seed starting stuff ready for these people, and yeah, we're going to start seeds in the high tunnel, and that's where the meeting can be. If there's a big snowstorm, it's right off the driveway, easy to plow with our tractor. Fancy. And people don't have to hike down here. As they always tell you when you build a garden, you should live there for a bit or whatever. There's always going to be heirs, okay? I lived here a few years before we put in this garden. It's full sun, yada, yada, yada. I built my greenhouse on the far end of it. I don't know why I did that. Because it was facing south probably, and I wanted it to be not so close to the house, but it's like a hike to get out here. It's cool when you look at a picture of the garden and the greenhouse is kind of the center of it, but I wish it was that way. So it's closer to my house to hike down here, or to plow, or to shovel out. It is kind of a pain in the butt to do without equipment. Well, now we have equipment, but I haven't for the 9 years we've lived here, so it took some time. So those are two big things that are happening. The tractor is obviously going to come in handy for a lot of this. I think it's going to be wonderful to have this community garden here. We are called back to the garden because we are going back to the garden, literally and figuratively. That's the goal. Bring people back to the garden. So keep us in your prayers, and I think it'll be a beautiful season, beautiful time to really show people all the things about the garden. That was the biggest game changer for me, was really falling in love with the garden and getting to know the Creator in the garden. That was a major. I had gardened a few years prior, but it wasn't until my first year in that little garden where I came out and was just, I needed that garden. And the Lord just came to me there and met me where I was in that garden, and it was lovely. You can garden your face off and still not have, and you can grow all your own food, and you can teach people how to grow food, but it'll just be a task until you really connect with the Lord in the garden. And then it becomes so much more than just a task or just something you like to do or a hobby. It becomes worship. And I want to teach people more than just how to grow their own food for sustainability or to cut costs. I want to show people that you can have a legit relationship with the Lord in the garden. And while you're in the garden, to enjoy His presence and to learn, I feel Him in everything I do in the garden. The soil, when the snow melts and the soil is workable, and you come out and the soil's just freezing, and you come out and you get to plant your first seeds in that ground. The smell of the soil, the touch of it, it's just like, you just feel the Creator. You just feel alive. After that cold winter of rest, and you come out and just plunge your hands into that soil. Gets my heart going. You just see the creator in everything once you get into it. See him in all the things, in all the beauty. If nothing else, if I'm able to show people, a few people, the tangible way to meet Christ in your garden, that's what I want you to do. Feed the soul, feed the soil, and feed the people. Those are the goals. So there we go. There's my updates. And we got my peppers planted, finally. Praise the Lord, hallelujah. Thank you guys for following along with me, and I'll see you on my next video. We gotta get those onions planted, you know? If you haven't planted onions from seed, it's super easy, guys. You can do it. I've showed you how many times, but we'll be doing it very, very soon. I might be doing it in these same cups. I want them to be bigger and not as many to plant. Because last year when I'm out there in the pouring rain, I'm out there planting onions and having to separate them, and it took forever. So I think I'm going to do it in a way where I can still, I might have to separate them, but it's not going to be so tedious. That's the plan. All right, I'll see you on my next video. Bye, guys.